separatists have been taking care of my master.
It is finished, then. You have restored peace and justice to the galaxy.
Send the message to the ships of the Trade Federation. All droid units must shut down immediately.
Very good, my lord.
We all know it's inevitable that the Clone Wars content that's being currently added to Battlefront 2 will eventually come to an end, and I would think after whatever's going to be announced in June, I do strongly believe that will be Clone Wars. As I'm recording this, we don't know that yet. I would think after that, the new wave of content would begin. So whatever's added with the June announcement, that will obviously be spread out over a few months, and then they will eventually move on to new things, and I would think that would be in September. I don't want the Clone Wars content to end as much as I'm sure other people don't want it to end. I know there are some out there who are quite fed up of it at this point, and even though we had a whole game dedicated to the original trilogy, they still complain that the originals have been abandoned. The sequels I wouldn't worry too much about, because let's be honest here, December will introduce Episode 9 content. I would be very worried if it doesn't, so that's going to get its focus around that point. But I think the main two things to focus on would be The Mandalorian and Episode 9. With this June announcement, I strongly believe that Ahsoka will get announced along with Ventress. Will there be two other heroes? I don't know, but I think that will be the final straw for the Clone Wars content, and then we will eventually move on to Mandalorian content and Episode 9 content as well. At this point, it's about balancing the eras, and the prequels pretty much now are balanced with the originals. I think the originals are always going to have the most content. They are the most appreciated era, and that makes sense to me, but it's time to start balancing the sequels and maybe a new realm of content with The Mandalorian. They've already been promoting Force Friday for September, which is going to introduce merchandise for The Mandalorian Episode 9 and Fallen Order, which, by the way, let's just clarify straight away, Fallen Order content won't get added to Battlefront 2 at any point. That's pretty much confirmed. They're two separate games. Why would anyone go to play Fallen Order if all the content from that game is in Battlefront 2? Makes no sense, so that is a big no. The best way to put this would be probably around September, October. There might be some Mandalorian skins in the game from certain troopers. I would presume the Empire would show up in the Mandalorian, or what's left of them, the new First Order. Maybe some skins, maybe a location. It would work a lot like the Han Solo season, I believe, where content is kind of restricted, as in heroes would maybe be hard to add. I don't know, would the Mandalorian come into the game? Whose side would he be on? I would expect to see at least a new planet from the Mandalorian. Episode 9, I think, is where things really lie. There's so many potential opportunities here. Spoiler alert, obviously, Palpatine is most likely going to be in Episode 9. Will he get a skin? Will Palpatine become cheaper in the sequel era maps? Same with Lando. Could he get a skin? Luke, you never know what could happen there as well. I would definitely be thinking that Lando and the Emperor would be cheaper in the sequels, which would give that era a lot more options, especially for the villains as well, because right now, Kylo and Phasma are the only cheaper heroes in that era, so Palpatine being cheaper, while he's pretty OP, it would add variety. I do think heroes are unlikely for the sequels. Poe and Hux are the first ones that come to mind. Would they really be worth adding? I think when they're trying to promote the final movie of the Skywalker saga, skins would be more likely for Kylo Ren and Rey, potentially Finn as well. Phasma, I doubt is going to be in the movie. But then again, the heroes really need to be balanced with these eras, so could some of the new characters from Episode 9 become heroes in Battlefront 2? It's quite a mystery, but after this Clone Wars content eventually ends, the prequels and originals are going to have so much content on offer, and the sequels do need to be balanced with that. It would be very unfair to just leave them at Rey and Finn and Phasma and Kylo Ren, and they're the only heroes you can choose. That's one of the main reasons I don't play that era, because it is kind of just forgotten about, which I'm not complaining per se, because we did all ask for the Clone Wars content and we can't expect them to focus on every era at once. So obviously it was expected to become abandoned, but it can't stay like that is my point, and things need to be done with that era when it comes to December of this year. Potential things as well, I think, in between when they're ending the Clone Wars season and moving on to whatever comes next would be Imperial skins. Droid skins I think are unlikely, and they'd probably come under the Clone Wars season anyway, but I think Imperial skins, Shadow Troopers, Gold Stormtroopers maybe for these really high ranks. The obviously the shock troopers as well would be fine additions to the game. They could add so much from the last game. Maps from the campaign, maps from Battlefront 1, I think will kind of bridge the two gaps together. But what will happen when the Clone Wars ends? I hope the day never comes. It does have to, unfortunately. But no matter how spread out that content's been, I've really enjoyed just seeing my personal era of Star Wars be represented in a Battlefront game for once when under the control of EA. But thank you very much for watching, everyone. I do hope you enjoyed. A lot of questions to be answered here, so let's talk about it. See you all next time.